Hello, this is Nicholas Wern again. Sorry I missed the last time. Today we're talking about, 5 common mistakes when you're about to go digital twinning. Probably and might be even more than 5, but I at least listed down 5 of these today. And for the ones that you're joining for the first time, my name is Nicholas Wern. I work with strategy and innovation, and right now focusing a lot on impact realization with reality gamification. What that means is that I just try to help companies and people solve problems much, much faster in a collaborative way using modern tools in the right order on a global scale. Just something like that. And now it's 4 p.m. So we're going to see if we have some guests. And so we're going to try to also look in the comment section. So feel free or please ask any questions and anything about digital twin or anything about innovation or solving problems faster than we usually do it before. So let's just get started. And the first, I think, most common mistake, or maybe mistake is not the right word, but most common way of trying to think about digital twins is that it's one digital twin, one omnipotent, all-knowing, all-encompassing digital twin that has to be the standards of standards, and maybe even creating a new standard to deal with all the other standards that got invented the first time because someone said there are no standards to begin with that fits the use case. So let's create another one. Thinking that is one digital twin it might be the case if you're looking at a PLM, like a product lifecycle management, or just a product. But but that's not the case either, because that product consists of a lot of different things, most likely, with parts that come from different vendors. And once digital twinning has become more of the norm, the individual products and the parts that is the composite of an engine, let's say. The engine consists of a lot of different moving parts. It depends if it's a traditional engine or if it's a EV engine, obviously. But anyway, so from a supply chain perspective, all the different parts come from different places, and they themselves might be digital twins on their own. So thinking about the one digital twin, common, I would say, mistake, and it's more, think about it more as in, what are you trying to solve in the real world? What are the parts that go into this product, and how to make that interoperable? And I think that's really, really important to think about it that way, because it's several hundreds or maybe thousands of digital twins that need to be interoperable and need to work together. So again, digital twins are for people, for systems, as well as for advanced analytics such as AI and machine learning. And if you can't transfer knowledge from system to system, and from one system, to use AI, or from one system for people to understand what that means, then in my opinion, it's not really digital twinning. And again, it consists of blockchain. It could consist of blockchain, AR, VR, open source, proprietary, ontology, standards, machine learning. All these kind of things could be at the very core of a or multiple digital twins working together. Not just dashboards. So this, again, we're still on the first topic, thinking that it's one digital twin. And when we have the ability right now to visualize reality, works with physics-based modeling, we should take that opportunity. And sometimes, yes, we should definitely use Power BI, or like business dashboards to visualize some of the things that we look at. But when we have reality as, a lens to look at, why aren't we using it? That's a good question. Number 2 in common mistakes is that it's a technology play. It's not. And it's a platform plan. It's not, right? You don't have to select the best platform or the technology. It's more again, bringing different pieces together, visualizing that in a way that mirrors the real world that you're working on. That can be done in several different ways. And the more important aspects are not related to technology, but actually, where in the world are you looking at? Who are involved, which programs or systems are involved in the data that you need to get into feed to this real-time version that you want to run simulations. Because again, the why aspect, maybe I'm borderline into the next one, is that why digital twins is that you're allowed to copy reality so that you can make mistakes in a virtual environment to run simulations that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do in the real world unless you want to make those mistakes for real. So having that ability to also run thousands of different scenarios and find the best way possible is, again, the possibilities with digital twin, but it doesn't start with technology. And it doesn't even start with a problem. It starts with looking at the world, defining the as is, and then you might, put the right people together, or just any people together, and say, like, okay, how can we reduce the time, increase the value, who needs to be involved? And just by, looking at the world as it is and explaining that without any technology, really, that is definitely a really good place to start. Okay, good. Number three, I've seen these things. No, we're not going to do it. Well, doesn't it improve like 10% to what you do right now? Yeah, but we want to, eliminate this, or we want to go to 100%. There's a lot of companies that lets perfect get in the way of good. That's not fantastic, and they want to have AI, ML, VR, AR. Creating a lightweight digital twin, or even a prototype digital twin that doesn't really, exist in the real world yet, fed with real-time data, is a really, really, really good start. So get started, get going, and show value within the first couple of weeks. That's how long it would take to create value from digital twinning. Not months, not years, and not decades. That some companies have tried to, create these omnipotent digital twins that, in the end, they can't really scale. They're not interoperable. So yeah, it's 100 or nothing. Otherwise, we're not going to do it. No, get to 50% better, or no 80%. Just instead of having 10 different options, have 2 options, the best options. So just get started, get going, and show value and create value first. Number 4, thinking that digital twins are something of the future, right? Thinking that this is not happening yet. I've seen that so many times in real estate and construction. But if you compare that to in healthcare, we have 50 million health records, and you'll be able to go through them instantaneously to find valuable information that can assist the doctors in real time. It's a very big difference from all the different information that might be fragmented in traditional industries, but it can definitely be done. And if you look at the defense industry, or Formula One for that matter, where they have digital twins of the Formula One race cars that feed data into a 3D model after the races, and they can run simulations and figure out how to optimize the vehicle after a race, 3D print parts, and get that stuff done. That's is possible today, very much so. National digital twins, global digital twins, a lot of the things that a lot of people think are sci-fi. I've heard that in numerous occasions in calls. What we can actually explain, it's here today. So don't think that it's not here. We have cutting edge tools, and something that I always like to say is that if you look at the Gartner hype cycle, and you see that this is going to take 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, most of the stuff, if not all of the stuff, is more or less ready today. It's only when they're going to reach mainstream. And who wants to be mainstream? I don't, because if it's been mainstream, that's because everyone has tried it. I want to be at the cutting edge for the simple reason of, when we use modern tools, and with the right people in the right order, we can solve problems faster. And if we look at climate change and all these critical challenges, we need to get stuff done faster, obviously. So again, it's not just future tech, it's right now, right here, where we can use these tools to improve a lot of the situations that we're in. And again, think about the worst mistake that you ever done in the real world, right? Think about the effects that led to for you in your either private life, or your especially business life. What if you could have made that mistake in a virtual environment, and seeing that, okay, I shouldn't have done that mistake, or I shouldn't have taken that decision. Or even better yet, what if you could ask the digital twin about, what is the best option I can take right now, given that I need to reach this impact? So we're going to take a question here in between question, or like mistake number 4 and 5. This is from Robert Cross, who's an energy expert in the US. If you can demonstrate the vision, you can sell the bridge. A digital twin can help people realize real-world opportunities in a myriad wins, or a myriad ways, possibly. Definitely. And I think we have the people that know a lot of different things. It's just that they don't necessarily have the tools to explain what they mean in a way that makes sense for other people, right, outside of their domain. And the better you become at something, for most people at least, the less you know about everything else, which is exactly how it should be. We should all, in my opinion, love something and be really, really good at it, and then work with others that love what they do and are really, really good at it, and then collaborate around the shared something with, digital twin in the middle. And the benefits of having, a reality looking digital twin, not a dashboard, not a PDF or Excel sheet, or not just a tool with graphs, is that you are able to look at that part. Let's say a building, we can, look at the piping and just, focus on that one, and then we can also see how it relates to the walls, how it relates to the plumbing, the electricity, the HVAC, and, look at different perspectives in a shared reality. That's really, really important, because if you can't, what Robert was saying, sell the vision. If you can't make the argument, we need this amount of money because we need to do this, this, and this, and this, or this will happen. A lot of times is that a lot of people actually know what will happen, but they can't demonstrate it. They can't get someone else to understand what they mean. So digital twins are an amazing tool, if done right, to get people aligned around that shared reality. And again, in a real world situation, that is the key. I was asked this question a couple of days ago, out of, the processes or the people, the hierarchy, the systems and the culture, as well as, AI simulation tools, what is the main challenge and what do you need to start with? It's getting people, to understand each other, to align with each other, and to have that shared reality, which is basically, again, the reality we live in. So number 5 is, I think, not having a methodology to get going. Again, there are a lot of different platforms out there, and they consist of anything from IoT to AI and a lot of buzzword bingo. So how to get started? I mean, the classic question of why digital twins? It's, again, to collaborate together, solve problems faster, and, to allow people to make mistakes and to see what their decisions will have for an effect, in a simulated environment or an emulated environment, so that mimics their real world, so they can see what kind of effect that will have, and how and what, and especially why, is really, really important, because in my opinion, how to get started. So let's just, go with that one. How to get started. Start with sorry, a point in the world where you have this problem. If it's a school, what school? Be specific. If you don't have it, choose a school. You have to show something and talk around something, and, visualize that in between people. It's really, really, really hard for most people to actually, figure stuff out when you're talking about abstract data, the way that I'm doing right now. I wish that, we were so advanced that I could bring you into, my metaverse, right, where all the different projects with national digital twins or global digital twins, we can go to a school, the schools that we're doing here in Sweden, and I can show you, all these kind of things together. We're on a sightseeing trip, and that's something that I promise to you, Philip, to Robert, to everyone, that will happen very soon. But right now, just choose something, be very, very specific about it, and pinpoint where it is. Then, you just have to describe the assets. So I think there's also a lot of fear from people that they need to be digital twin experts or IoT experts or AI experts or whatever experts. That is not the case. The only thing that experts don't know is what you or anyone, what kind of, the as is situation. It doesn't even have to be problems. If people can just stay in their comfort zone, not go out of their comfort zone, because a lot of people don't like that, just stay in their comfort zone and describe what kind of steps that they take, what pains them, what they want to do more of, what they don't want to do. Then, experts in other areas can look at that, attack it from their viewpoint, and again use the digital twin to combine these things to see, okay, what about this solution? Would this work? Yes or no? And again, like, the benefits of having this collaborative shared reality is that usually otherwise when you do this, you go to one consultant, they say like, oh, let's try this out, it's a separate part of the same reality, and they make a change. But the other one here, which, works in the same area, they also working on something, and they also get, a suggestion to improve their part of reality. But then when they merge this together, the one part over here, they didn't know that someone else was working on the same stuff. So when they changed something, their starting point over here changed, dramatically. So what they thought they were going to do maybe didn't work, or the effects were different. So again, when we're working in this shared reality and with real-time data, we can work together and again do all these kind of things in a way where we can simulate the future to transcend the now. We got one more question, and then I'm running out of steam here. But those are the five, different mistakes that I think is, people, companies are coming across today. One, think it is one digital twin. It's not. It's hundreds, if not thousands, which means that everything has to be interoperable. It's not a technology play or platform play. It's again, describe the SS situation. What are the problems? What does it lead to? And even possibly, what do you want? What is the need? What is the impact that you're after? And start with the impact. Not 100% or nothing. Just get started, get going, iterate, not even fail fast, but succeed fast and create value fast. This is not a future technology. This is right here, right now. And we have really, really powerful tools with physics-based simulation modeling that is being used across multiple industries. It is just identifying the right tools, put them in the right order, solve problems faster, and again, be specific and have a methodology. If you don't have one, we've created one at Winio that shows clearly how you can use digital twins, how to get started, how to get going, and how to create value across an entire life cycle. So just reach out to me, put a comment in here, and I'll get it across to you. So Philip has a question. I'm interested in potential digitizer system built environment. Yeah, so basically life cycle digital twinning. So that's exactly what we're doing right now with the new company. Well, the company is new for me, with 20 years experience, multiple patents, combined with real-time and augmented reality capabilities. So just to give an example, I think I gave it the last time, but I give it again and again and again and again if I have to. And just imagine now in Ukraine, for instance, they're suffering badly. So we have been in discussions with some NGOs. How can we help? What can we do? They have a lot of people that needs either temporary housing or new houses because, of course, everything or a lot of the cities have been bombed to. They're not in great shape, to put it mildly, right? And it's really, really horrible. I don't really want to think about it, talk about it too much. But what's happening is that how can we, improve that reality? How can we collaborate? How can we help out and assist as much as possible from other aspects of the world? So again, being an advisor for a 3D printing company called Black Buffalo, we're in these discussions, how to scale up, how do we 3D print something, and even make it smart from start. So they have an offering where they combine IoT as well as 3D printing, which is basically the core subset of that is BIM models, 3D models, and if you combine 3D models with IoT, you basically get digital twinning. So let's just take again Ukraine as an example. Let's just scan in a part of the world, or use satellite data to build up an environment where we can coordinate things with the people on the ground and say, okay, here's where people are moving. So we get maybe real satellite data of the last 6 months or like the last 3 months or 1 month, how people are moving, what are the patterns, where are maybe possibly the safe zones, where can we build stuff, infrastructure really, really fast. So we take, again, the satellite imagery, build up a 3D virtual model of that part of the world, and then we can take the 3D models of the 3D printing company or modular housing, whatever that might be, and we just place it there in that reality. So if you're standing there, boots on the ground, and you just have a smartphone or even HoloLens or smart glasses, you can basically see that being, getting down from the sky, being positioned where it's supposed to be. And then they can say, okay, here is where we want it to be. Or you can have like multiple dozens or infinite amount of houses placed in that reality, see what it looks like before it's getting built, and then okay, where the 3D printer, where it's going to look like, how big is it, how much space does it need, what kind of material does it need. So we do everything virtually first. We build it, we ship it, and then because it has IoT data within it, it automates, updates in real time. So you get a life cycle perspective. And let's say the engine that we can get this done from EDX, it's really powerful because if something would change in that reality. Let's say a road changes or a building gets popped up that wasn't part of the project, or again, someone plants trees over here, whatever that might mean. That means that you can recalculate the digital twin, and it tells you the optimal location. In this case, what we're doing is optimizing 4G, 5G road mapping, so the cell towers. So again, just to reiterate, we create a virtual world where we can collaborate. Might be a metaverse, hype right now, where we collaborate, but it's tied to reality. We agree on everything. We use physics-based modeling to actually, see what it looks like in the real world. And then what we can do is, make it, we create it, and then couple it with IoT data. So we have the as designed, as is, to be in a circular model forever. So that's definitely something that we can do. And I'm working on, CO2 aspects and crypto aspects of blockchain, a lot of these kind of things. So another question, IMO digital twins be determined to decarbonization of the built environment. A picture is worth 100,000 worlds, definitely. And again, if you have, let's say, we create a digital twin of the world, then people can reiterate that. We can create new worlds, so it's more an infinite world perspective that we have. What excites you about the application digital twins in modern cities? It's the participatory dialogue that we can have in a continuous way with not only stakeholders from the city, but from people. Because the way that it's being done right now, and especially how smart cities are being created, is that the people in the government, they are creating the city for people. It's not with people, and you can get to show this value faster, and you can actually again, you take the real world, you copy it, and then you use generative design or parametric design to actually ask the city based on the movement patterns, based on what's going to be built, based on where the energy infrastructure is, based on all these kind of things. And let's say we need, how many schools do we need to build and where do they need to be? And the digital twin gives you the answer back. And it shows you in augmented reality, here we want to place it. And you say, okay, let's try it out with the inhabitants of the city, what they think, what it's going to look like. Is it a good location? Is it optimal? How do they want to design it? So you can actually do everything virtually first and agree on this and then build it. So again, that's definitely how I see it. So I was actually in a really cool discussion yesterday with a urban planner where we talked about the very same things. Is there a way to catch recording? Yes, definitely. We can also send it out. That's not a problem. And then any thoughts for digital twin for the Earth for environmental action? Absolutely. We have EDX has a digital twin, a global digital twin, where we have a marketplace for different solutions, a secure backend where we can create content. And just to give you an example, we were at the Maxar event, Engage event in Portugal a couple of weeks ago. So that was extremely exciting. And we could see all these different use cases, right? Let's say after a storm, how do you prioritize, disaster aid efforts so that you can get to the ones that need most of the help, or the houses that have been obliterated the most, or how do you get to where you need to be as fast as possible? So having satellite data, working with machine learning and AI, you can basically color code, okay, this is where we need to be. These are the houses that have been, crushed, all these kind of things. And, in terms of environmental action, it's the same. If you look at Kazakhstan, I think, and I hope I'm not mistaken, I hope someone can, correct me if I'm wrong, they have 7 big rivers going into Kazakhstan, right? And I think all of them, or I think it's 6 out of 7, originate outside of Kazakhstan. So that, from an environmental perspective, being really, really dependent on agriculture is a huge risk, obviously. It's a risk if someone would, decide, okay, we're going to redirect the water because we need it as a nation, or with drought, right? So if you combine satellite data with climate change patterns, then you can predict, okay, in the next 2 to 5 years, there's a 50% chance that these rivers will, they won't go as far. And if you are a nation, concerned about GDP and, of course, people working and, being happy about it, then that will become a main problem if the 50% of the, what the country is doing in terms of the gross domestic product will be evaporated. So that will leave them either, do resiliency, measures in place? Is there something that we can do, or just accept the fact that in 5 to 10 years, the rivers that we have right now, they won't be here? How do you change that with public policy from a 5 to 10 year perspective to deal with climate change? And that's a matter of the fact that we just attended a webinar before when we were asked that question. How can emerging markets, emerging nations that haven't really stepped into the third or the fourth industrial revolution yet, how can they make the most of it, right? And will they be impacted from all these changes that they weren't a part of? They're just, suffering from all the different changes or all the different things that the Western world or the industrialized world, let's say, has created over the last 100 to 200 years. So they're suffering for it. So again, if you have a global digital twin, you feed it with definitely satellite data as a starting point. You create virtual worlds around the very places that you want to, target. You ingest relevant data from GIS data, geographic information, and spatial data from geographic information systems, coupled with whatever data is relevant for that part of the world, and you run these simulations. And it's not that you can, run them and export it into an Excel sheet that no one can understand, but you can actually show people. If you continue to live here, then this river would either, not be here anymore, or there would be, a huge change. So that, all the land that you have, all the different, apartments, real estate will be underwater in the next 2 to 5 years. That is, a given. And yeah, I don't believe it. But if you can show them the simulations, how this will happen, even in augmented reality, they're standing outside their highs and they can see, they're standing, underwater basically. That's when I believe, at least, and what researchers believe, that if we can, put people in the very position that they're going to experience their own future in a way that they would understand, they're more likely to change. And getting this stuff done is exactly what we can do, what we have to do, and also what my focus is when it comes to global digital twinning, and definitely avoid these, most common mistakes, which I've made and a lot of other companies have made before me, right? So we can help mitigate risk of model future scenarios, bridge the gap with today's reality. Definitely. Thank you so much, Robert. You're the best. Philip, Eric has similar river vulnerabilities. Glaciers are collapsing. Exactly. And I think, it's not just that Kazakhstan has this, right? Every country has resiliency challenges. One of my favorite favorites, it's bad phrasing, but one of my favorite is examples is with the hospital here outside in Gothenburg. They used to have laundry within the hospital, right? And we also had like a passport, kind of something that was going haywire just a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, I digress. So hospital, at a certain point in time here in Sweden, they used to have the laundry within their facilities or next doors. For some reason, obviously, which was good at the time, probably low cost, they switched the laundry to be, I don't know, 1 hour, 1.5 hour away, which is a problem, right? Because if a hospital is without the laundry services for more than, I think, like a couple of days, they're literally out of business. So if you, in resilience perspective, that means that, well, you have to take all this kind of stuff into account, right? And with the digital twin, the laundry is a subset of a more complete digital twin of the entire hospital. So let's say we change something, how will that affect everything else? So how can I go from the country of Kazakhstan to a hospital here in Gothenburg? It's very much the same. How is this country, what is it dependent on to function? Identify the people that are involved in this, create a shared reality, which for Kazakhstan is the map of probably the entire country. Identify, important areas that usually, again, not communicate because they don't use the same platforms, they don't use the same tools or the same processes. And with the hospitals, again, it's the same. Identify which is the shared reality between all the different stakeholders, and that is, of course, the actual hospital and how adjacent it is. And then you pinpoint, okay, let's look at a subset of this, as in the laundry service. How is that being done today? Just define the as is, and then you can look at, okay, what happens if someone blocks, our means of transportation to the part where we do laundry right now, how fast would that, how fast would we be able to provide our services correctly? Is it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days? And you just, do this compound resiliency strategies. And again, with the digital twin in the middle. When you have that information, you can actually ask the digital twin, how do we solve this problem? Run these simulations. What can we do about it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, if you don't have a visual way of explaining this to people across different domains, and if you don't have an interoperable way of bringing in data from different systems that going to feed into the digital twin, you can't really get stuff done. And if you don't do it in a way for AI and machine learning to work on this data, then you're also not going to get as to where you want to be. So yeah, I wouldn't say that it's easy, but there is a methodology. I'm here obviously to help out as much as I can with any kind of digital twin question or any kind of impact realization question, to be honest. So I'm focusing a lot on 3D printing. Well, yeah, it's going to take too long to repeat everything that I do, but I really want to help out in solving problems faster. So if you can just tell me, what situation you're in, what kind of problems, or just define what you do and what you want to do more of, I'll be happy to help out as much as possible. Thank you so much, Robert and Philip, for the different comments. And now I got to pick up the kids, and we'll talk about the analytical AI side with data feeds coming in the next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.